"It's just business," Xander said, his voice smooth as the polished marble of the bar behind him. "You were always the talent, I was always the vision." This was the natural next step for me. The sound that froze the moment wasn't the collective gasp from our top clients seated around the table. It was the tiny, sharp clink of his champagne flute against his teeth as he smiled. A smile of pure, unadulterated victory. Everyone at that dinner, hosted at the Gilded Perch, was there to celebrate our agency's biggest quarter, or so ID thought. Instead, they were witnesses to my public execution. My response was quiet, barely a murmur. The vision has a price. Xander and I met in the fluorescent hum of a 24-hour print shop 9 years ago, two freelancers burning the midnight oil on separate projects. We bonded over lukewarm coffee and a shared frustration with mediocre clients. He had the charisma, I had the skills. Vivid Spark, our boutique marketing agency, was born on a stack of greasy napkins that night. I remember our first major client win, a local craft brewery. We celebrated on the floor of our empty, echoing office with a case of their IPA and 2 large pepperoni pizzas, mapping out our future on the back of a cardboard box. That felt safe, real. The first red flag came 6 months later. He forgot to include me on an email chain with a potential investor, later dismissing it with a casual wave of his hand. An oversight, he'd said. I was the engine, he was the face. It made a certain kind of sense. The golden years were a blur of success. We landed a campaign for Sonos, did a full rebrand for a popular coffee chain, and our team grew from 2 to 12. Our lives were a collage of late nights fueled by Wagamama deliveries, heated debates over Pantone color swatches, and the shared, intoxicating thrill of building something from nothing. But the balance was slowly, almost imperceptibly, shifting. I was the one staying until 3 a.m. debugging website code. I was the one handling the frantic client calls on a Sunday. Xander was the one taking the bows at industry award shows and being featured in trade magazines. He was the vision, I reminded myself. The engine doesn't need the spotlight. The cracks became fissures. He'd expense lavish dinners with potential clients who never materialized. He'd take solo research trips to Bali and Monaco on the company's dime. I rationalized it all as the cost of his rainmaking. I was so focused on the work, on keeping the engine running, that I didn't see it was powering a getaway car. The discovery was stupidly simple. An automated email from DocuSign appeared in my inbox one Tuesday morning. A document I wasn't party to had been executed. The title was Z Creative Solo Venture LLC Formation. The date on the digital signature was 4 months prior. My blood went cold. That night, I didn't go home. I stayed at the office and began to dig. For 2 weeks, I lived a double life. By day, I was Theo, the reliable partner. By night, I became a forensic investigator. Using a burner phone, I hired a discreet accountant named Yasmin. I taught myself how to read server logs. I combed through years of our shared Google Drive looking for discrepancies. I found a hidden folder, password protected, named Legacy. Inside was a perfect mirror of our company. Every client contract, every piece of intellectual property, every financial projection. He hadn't just been planning to leave. He'd been planning to steal the entire ship, leaving me with the sinking hull. Yasmin confirmed my worst fears. Over the last 18 months, Xander had siphoned $87,450 into his new LLC's account through 42 separate, mislabeled transactions. He was using our money to build the company that would replace us. The dinner at the Gilded Perch was supposed to be the final nail. He'd invited our 3 biggest clients. The reps from Oakhaven Realty and Finch Wearables were there, plus a few influential industry bloggers. He stood, raised his glass, and delivered his eulogy for our partnership. I've decided to move in a new direction, to streamline, he announced, his eyes sweeping the room, deliberately avoiding mine. Theo has been a wonderful partner, but some people are built to be support staff. I'm built to lead. This new venture is pure vision, and I can't be held back. The room was silent. In that moment of profound public humiliation, I felt no anger, just a chilling, absolute clarity. My plan didn't form in words. It simply solidified, a block of ice in my chest. And I noticed a tiny, overlooked detail in his triumphant speech. He boasted that his new agency, Z Creative, would be built on a foundation of absolute transparency. That phrase, so casually deployed, would become the lever that broke him. The next morning, I made an appointment with Ms. Petrov, a business litigator with a reputation for being a shark in a tailored suit. I drained $15,000 from my personal savings for her retainer. Her advice was simple: say nothing. Act wounded, act lost, but do not act suspicious. For the next 7 weeks, I went to work and played the part of the jilted partner. It was the hardest performance of my life. Xander was magnanimous, offering me a paltry severance and a patronizing pat on the shoulder. One night, he nearly caught me. He walked back into the office unexpectedly and found me exporting the final server logs to a thumb drive. My heart hammered against my ribs. I'm just making a final backup of my projects before the transition, I said, my voice remarkably steady. He just nodded, too consumed by his own brilliance to see the truth. Ms. Petrov's team assembled the arsenal. He had 7 pillars of proof: the DocuSign email, the forensic accounting report detailing all 42 fraudulent transfers, the server logs showing the exact date and time he downloaded our entire client database, copies of emails he'd sent to our clients from his personal account promising a seamless transition, and a one-party consent recording of a Zoom call where he'd admitted to using VividSpark funds for pre-launch expenses. The ironic coincidence that sealed it was the receipt for his new company's domain name, zcreative.com. He'd bought it with the VividSpark company AMX. Instead of a lawsuit, Ms. Petrov recommended we invoke the arbitration clause in our partnership agreement. She had a junior associate send a vaguely worded letter, making it seem like a minor dispute over the division of office furniture. Xander, arrogant and dismissive, agreed to a formal mediation immediately, bringing only a junior lawyer from his family's firm. He walked right into the trap. The arbitration took place in a sterile beige conference room. A retired judge served as the mediator. Xander arrived looking relaxed, wearing an impeccably tailored Tom Ford suit, smelling of expensive cologne and overconfidence. "Xander, thank you for agreeing to discuss the dissolution," I began, my voice even. He launched into a magnanimous speech about amicable endings and moving forward. He was 5 minutes in when Ms. Petrov quietly placed a thick, spiral-bound binder in front of the mediator. The first wave was the financials. As the mediator turned the pages, detailing the 42 illegal transfers, Xander's confident smile tightened. He tried to dismiss them as unorthodox reimbursements. Then came the second wave. Ms. Petrov presented the server logs, the emails to our clients, and finally she played the Zoom recording. The sound of Xander's own voice, cheerfully admitting to fraud, filled the quiet room. His face went from tan to ashen. For the final blow, Ms. Petrov looked at the mediator and said, "Mr. Zandy's also made a public promise that his new venture would be built on a foundation of absolute transparency. We are simply here to help him honor that commitment." Xander stared at me, his eyes wide with a look of pure betrayal. "You recorded me," he whispered, his voice cracking. "After everything we built," I leaned forward slightly. "You built this. I just brought the receipts." The fallout was immediate and catastrophic. The arbitrator's judgment was merciless. Xander was found liable for fraud, ordering him to repay the $87,450, plus punitive damages and my entire legal bill, which came to just over $130,000. He was legally barred from soliciting any of VividSpark's clients for 2 years. Word of the ruling spread like wildfire. The clients from the dinner, Oakhaven and Finch, immediately terminated their tentative agreements with him. His reputation was shredded overnight. I saw him 6 months later, not at an industry gala or a trendy restaurant, but working behind the counter at a Verizon store in a suburban mall. His designer suit was gone, replaced by a cheap red polo shirt with a corporate logo on it. The customer service smile plastered on his face was a hollow, haunted echo of the one I remembered from the Gilded Perch. I rebranded the agency. VividSpark became Spark and Substance. I kept 2 of the 3 big clients and moved into a smaller, sunnier office downtown. There's a quiet peace in locking up at night, knowing that everything inside those walls is mine, earned and owned. Last week I was pitching a new client, a promising tech startup. The CEO asked me what made my agency different from the dozens of others out there. I smiled. "We're built on a foundation of absolute transparency. It's more than just business." The vision finally had the right price.